So whilst I get the slides up, what do you think a neuroscientist does? Any answers? I'm not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, not a neurologist, not a doctor. What do you think a neuroscientist does? Thank God somebody addressed the elephant in the room, brain chemicals. No, I'm not studying brain chemicals. Because only about 2% of your mental processes are chemicals. 98% is electrical energy, bioelectrical energy. It's unfortunate that in the last 50 years, Big Pharma wants us to believe everything is dopamine, serotonin, and 100 other neurotransmitters. Those 100 neurotransmitters together make up less than 2% of your mental processes. 98% is bioelectrical energy, energy which you can generate for free without any meds. You just exercise, sleep right, eat right, and you're generating that bioelectrical energy. So yes, it's not about chemicals alone. My practice is more focused around brain waves, how your neurons communicate with each other, how they communicate with the rest of your body through your nervous system, your spine. So that's what I do. But I'd like to spend the next 20 to 30 minutes just igniting a few thoughts in your brain. It's not working now? Okay. Fair enough, guys. My presentation's not working. So I'm going to try and improvise a bit. So any fans of numbers here? Yeah, you guys like some numbers? So I'm going to throw a few numbers at you. Actually, I wanted to show a really cool image, which I don't have right now. So have you all seen an Olympic race lineup? You know, the 50-meter race. There's a lineup, right? The sprint. If you joggle your memory a little, at the starting point, people are on those equipment where they've taken a certain stance, they're crouching, they're ready to sort of leap forth into action as soon as the gun is fired. There are some wires attached to those things. What do you think those are? To the apparatus at your starting point. Exactly, they are motion sensors. What they do is, they sense when did your foot leave the apparatus, right? Why? Because it is believed, and the International Olympic Committee believes, that if within 0.1 second of the gun being fired, if you have already lifted off, it's a false start. Because they believe that 0.1 second, which means 1/10 of a second, is too little a time for your brain to process the starting sound, give all the signals to the rest of your body, and for you to fire off. That's their belief. And here we are thinking that all of what we do, all of our problems, whether it is anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADHD, is either chemicals or in our mind. How many of us differentiate between the mind and the brain? Just a show of hands. Good. So what is the mind? Some answers. Since I don't have my presentation, you all have to make do now. Fantastic. She said it doesn't have a physical place like the brain. Anything else? Consciousness. Bang on. I'm looking for one more answer. Yes, sir. Wow. Now we're getting into some heavy-duty stuff, metaphysical, outside my realm, right? But the mind really is a manifestation of all of this. Your beliefs, your ideals, your values, your consciousness, your environment, how you're responding to it in that instant, right? The mind is intangible, it's fickle, it changes at an instant. Some of you may have seen me lounging around throughout the day, whiling my time away, and you made a certain impression. Some of you just saw me right now and made a certain impression. That impression continues as I walk around without my presentation, hapless, like a headless chicken, trying to make the best of this situation. And that impression will keep changing till the end of my talk. Hopefully, I'll leave with a good impression. But that impression can change in a fraction of a second if I say something stupid. Right? So then, what is your mind? Has anyone here faced depression? Or has loosely used the term, I'm so depressed? Has anyone got a clinical diagnosis with a prescription to say, you have clinical depression and please go take these meds? A lot of our feelings such as sadness, which we can then loosely call sometimes depression or being depressed or low, can tend to occur from a variety of reasons, right? It could be relationships, could be monetary issues, career, business, profession, so on and so forth. Most of these words are things happening to us, not within us. Am I right? It's all in the environment. So if anyone has felt sad or low because of something to do with monetary reasons or monetary insecurity or a job or profession, just raise your hands. No judgment here. A lot of us. We all do, right? Who would be happier with $1 billion here? Who would be unhappy if they had $1 billion? Nobody. Right, got it. So let's say you've gone in to the best psychiatrist and psychologist in the country who happens to be in Delhi, double PhD, double MD, double MBBS, whatever is available, 40 years of experience, and they've given you a diagnosis and they said, you have clinical depression, and you've taken the prescription, you've gone home, and you're still coming to terms with it and saying, okay, but you know what, I went to MH360 today and they were talking about how these meds have iatrogenic harm, means unintended harm, and I might land up with sexual dysfunction, I might land up with 20 other things, and I'm probably better off without it, and you've not yet bought the pills. And the doorbell rings and a genuine courier comes. It's not one of those Nigerian email scams. A genuine courier comes, and you open it, and it says, many years ago when you had taken a holiday to the US or UK, and you had bought this lottery ticket, you won it for $10 million, which roughly is about 85 crore rupees. Hand on heart, are you depressed in that instant? Hand on heart. Anybody? Are you? Do you still believe you need that medication? What happened to all that serotonin, dopamine, imbalance, the DSM-5? What happened? So, friends, all of the mental health issues we talk about are biopsychosocial. So there is a huge element of your biology, huge element of your psychology, and the social environment, which is what's happening around you. You can deal with your psychology to change your perspective on how you respond to that environment, how you respond to the circumstances, your perspective, right? You can say, hey, I landed in Delhi this morning from Mumbai, and I looked outside from my seat and I said, shit, I don't want to get out of the aircraft. It was white haze smoke. And I said, I don't want to fall sick. But I had promised Aparna I will be here, and I didn't want to waste the flight ticket either. So I said, great, let's get out and face the smog, not face the music. But you make do of the situation. I could have come in crying and mewling, saying, the city sucks, whatever, have all the Delhiwalas tear me out. That's not going to happen, right? So we all have to change our perspective. That's one part. Now let's get back to the brain, which I claim to have some knowledge about. So we have about 100 billion neurons in our brain. Nobody's counted them. No neurologist, no neuroscientist has counted them. This is an approximate number. Depending on who you speak to, somebody will say 86 billion. And I'm like, boss, how did you get to 86? So I prefer the number 100 billion, just round it up. Yeah. But 100 billion neurons. But that's not where the magic is. You know where the magic is? That each of these neurons has 10,000 connections amongst themselves. The synaptic point. So 100 billion raised to the power of 10,000. That's many connections your small little brain has. Why I say small? Because it's only about 2% of your body weight. Only 2% of your body weight, but it controls 1/3 of your energy consumption. So anybody who's on a good diet, Weight Watchers out here, bodybuilders, right? So ma'am, what, have you consumed what, 1200 calories today? 1500 calories today? I don't know. Right, I'm just having fun. So let's say you consume 1500 calories, 500 were consumed by your brain on an average. Could be even higher if you're doing a lot of analytical thinking work, right? Your brain is the organ which is constantly firing energy, constantly consuming energy. It's the most expensive real estate on the planet. 2% of body weight, 1/3 of energy consumption. Do you know anything else of that sort? Nothing. Why does it consume so much energy? Why is it always working? Because your brain takes in 11 million bits per second. 11 Mbps data every second. 11 Mbps. 90% of that is through your eyes. How many of you, sometimes when you're asked an analytical question, will suddenly just close your eyes and say, oh yeah, 2 into 6 or whatever, whatever, right? Subconsciously, you will close your eyes to think. Why? Because your brain wants to block out 9 or 10 million bits so that it can use that processing capacity to make that decision, to make that choice, to think, to give it that answer. How many of us have had a long day of work and then somebody, a colleague or your mom or dad or somebody will come and present you with something saying, how do I do this? Or how do we calculate this? And you're like, oh, I'm too tired. My mind is too tired. Let's look at it tomorrow morning with a fresh mind. We say that, right? But didn't we all agree about 10 minutes back that the mind is intangible? Right? There's no physicality to it. So if there's no physicality to it, it can't get tired. Correct? So that means what has got tired? The brain's got tired. Right? Now, let me switch gears a minute. I will see, so we would have mapped about 18,000 brains at my company, NeuroLeap, in Bombay and Delhi. Of course, clients from all across India and the world. And not a day goes by when I'll have somebody coming in and saying, oh, I'm so depressed. Oh, I'm so anxious. I think I have so-and-so. And I read about this. And my psychologist said I have so-and-so. And I will just ask 3 simple questions. Are you having enough water during the day? Are you dehydrated? They're like, I might be dehydrated. I said, okay. Did you sleep well last night? Oh, no, I went to sleep at 3 or 4 a.m., binge watching something on Netflix. Right? Are you eating well? Yeah, I mean, I don't have breakfasts, doc. I don't like, I'm not a morning person. I don't do breakfast. Like, great. Do you exercise? Oh, yeah, I just climbed a flight of stairs. Fantastic. So how are you generating good bioelectrical energy for your brain to function? Let's juxtapose the feeling of being sad and low with the feeling of being dehydrated. Can you actually give me the difference in that moment? If I put you without water for 6 hours, in the Delhi heat in May or in the Bombay heat in May, won't you feel demotivated, dejected, frustrated? Even if your favorite, girl or boy calls you who's not been giving you the time of day, suddenly calls you, you'll be like, phone rakh yaar. I'm like, I can't think. Am I right? So are you depressed or are you just dehydrated? If you've not eaten enough, your blood sugar is fluctuating. Your brain is asking for food, but it keeps asking for it. So now you don't even get hunger pangs because it's stopped. That gut-brain connection has also got rogered. So you don't feel hunger, but you feel a little dizzy, fainty, irritable. So are you hangry? Like that lovely ad, hangry? What does it say? कि जब तुझे भूख लगती है तू heroine बन जाता है. Yeah? I'm like, why not hero? Yeah? Huh? Heroes can also get hangry. But anyways, so I really hope that all of us can start distinguishing between what really is a biological response of your brain and nervous system and what really is a mental health issue. So please do certain things to just understand. Am I eating right? Am I hydrated? Am I sleeping right? Am I doing exercise? If these 4 things are taken care of, and then you can get into some nitty-gritties, are my vitamins okay? There are certain vitamins which are really important for brain and nervous system health. Are those all right? What about my thyroid? So there are several areas where you can just take care of your biology and most of your so-called mental health issues will be taken care of. I'm not saying all of them. Yes, there are several which will not be taken care of, for which you can come to me. But otherwise, please take care of your biology first. Let me come to sleep. How many of you sleep 8 hours a night? When I say night, I mean night, yeah? Not wee hours of the morning when you go to sleep at 4. Yeah. So, we've all heard of the circadian rhythm, right? How many of us follow it? Very few. It's not the quantum of sleep alone, it is when you go to bed. A certain number of hours after sunset is when your brain requires sleep. It starts giving you the signal, right? That, hey, I'm tired. But you don't see that tiredness. You see low and sadness. You don't see that tiredness. You see boredom. You're like, it's 11 o'clock, all my friends are partying, it's 11 o'clock at night and I am sitting at home alone. Lucky you, just go to sleep. Seriously. Why? Because sleep is the only time when your brain uses cerebrospinal fluid, which goes up your spine, right through your brain, to clear up all the muck and junk which had accumulated throughout the day. Right? If that muck and junk is not cleared enough, the next day you are a little irritable, little moody, a little dazed, right? More scrappy, right? Have you all faced that? If you don't sleep on time, the next day you're not alert. Why? But the other favorite phrase I keep hearing from all the mental health books and motivational authors and mind, body, spiritual healers is mind over matter. Right? So just will yourself. 7 दिन नहीं सोएंगे, mind over matter. Quick question, any marathon runners here or runners? Sir, anybody else? Great. How many kilometers you run, sir? 10 kilometers. You, sir? 8 to 9. Good. What if suddenly I told you that, listen, it's all about mind over matter and, you're being a wuss, yeah. What is this 10 kilometers? Yeah, come on. Mind over matter. You think you can do it and you can do it, buddy. Yeah. Right? You see those videos all the time? It's all in your mind, it's all in your mind. So, what's your name, sir? Akash, so just as your name represents the sky, so be limitless. So tomorrow morning, just promise us you'll run 41 kilometers. And you have exactly 14 hours. So it's 6:15, tomorrow 8 o'clock. Just send us, the thing. So for 14 hours, lock yourself in a room and start manifesting the shit out of this. Yeah? Visual manifestation. And then tomorrow when you can't run, just get depressed. That I'm a bloody failure. I manifested for 14 hours and I couldn't run. Because it's all about mind over matter. Bones, joints, ये तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है. Sorry, I'm belaboring this point and going to a little bit of an extreme tangent, just to alert all of us about the importance of matter. And I think somewhere in this entire discussion around mental health, we've lost that aspect of matter. I will see influencers on social media talking about mental health, talking about lived experience. They will come to my office and fight with me, saying that, lived experience is expertise. I'm like, yeah, right, buddy. If somebody has cancer, they'll go to a cancer survivor to get treated. Really? And what is the expertise being doled out? Or, you don't know anxiety because you haven't felt it. When your every cell in the body doesn't want to get up out of bed. I'm like, really? How do you go and take a dump, man? What, do you lay in bed for 36 hours, 48 hours? Pee, poop, eat in bed? No. You're privileged. You've got somebody at home who's going to cook you food and say, Raja, beta, Rani, beti, kha lo. Am I right? Absolutely, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So why is that a bad thing? There's no problem. Just speak up a little so that everyone can hear you. Mike. Okay, no problem. She had a very valid point. She said, it happens sometimes. You don't want to get out of bed. You just want to lay down. And that's absolutely fine. My problem is to label it and diagnose it as anxiety or depression or something of that sort. Absolutely.
Seriously.
Yes, you're right in a way. There is a certain casual approach which has come in the linguistics around mental health. So let me get back on track. My point here was, please look at the biological aspect then. I spoke about how you can generate bioelectrical energy. So Newton's law of motion, a body at rest remains at rest. So if you feel, I can't get up, hell, don't get up. Don't crib about it, man. Yeah? I mean, unless there's a real physical issue. And in this instance, I'm going to give you an example. Whoever has felt I can't get up, sorry, I've had that same feeling. I get it so many times, right? Very frequently. But then you have to talk to yourself and say, hey, there's got to be something you got to do about it because this is going to be endless, right? So I do get that feeling as well. So I remind myself of an example which I forever tell my clients. Anybody afraid of creepy crawlies or lizards, chipkalis, cockroaches? Yeah? So imagine you're getting this feeling कि यार come what may, मतलब this is my bed now. अब तो यहाँ से उठ ही नहीं पाऊंगा. Yeah? खाना पीना सब यहीं होने वाला है. दुनिया जाए भाड़ में. Right? And I can't get up. And suddenly, a lizard falls on your face. Will you jump up or no? Or will you say, यार lizard है, पड़ा रहेगा यार, क्या है? जो करना है कर ले, मैं तो ऐसे ही हूँ. Does anyone have that feeling? Let the lizard be on my face. Or will you get up? So what happened? Your subconscious brain overcame your consciousness and said, holy shit, this is danger, get out. So you need to feel that sense of survival to say, hey, this is not me. I cannot just lie around for days. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, I get it. But I'm not going to bunk my job interview because I can't get up. I'm not going to not go and meet my friends because I can't get up. I'm not going to not go and study because I can't get up. If I genuinely can't get up, damn it, I'll go and see a proper doctor. Yeah? We'll do some tests and say कि हाँ तुम्हारी बेटा रीढ़ की हड्डी टूट गई है. तुम नहीं उठ सकते. ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ है. Correct? So before you come to the conclusion, sort out your biological, have a checklist. Sleep, diet, exercise, water, vitamins, some basic things like thyroid, etc. If one of these is not in order, I will feel like this. Let me get this in order. Let's get this a little more interactive. Any questions so far? Criticisms? Don't throw anything. Words are fine. Yes?
What is happening these days is we are taking very extremist point of view for everything. So mind body is connected. We cannot just isolate the body or the mind.
Absolutely.
So like in want to have one thing, create awareness regarding one thing, we're just neglecting the other. It should be in collaboration together.
I agree.
Just the way you mentioned, like mind, mind without matter, like mind matter more than the matter. That thing.
No, both go hand in hand.
Yeah, both
I was
go
trying to take you to the other extreme to bring you away from one, which is just mind over matter.
Yeah, we need to come in the middle because both are equally very important
Absolutely.
and relevant.
So I'm saying just start taking care of the matter first. Take care of your brain first. Ma'am here said a very important word about the mind. I think you said consciousness. Right. How much of your mental processes do you think is your consciousness, your mind? How much of who you are? What percentage? She's saying 100%. Anybody else? 10? 20? It's between 1 to 5%. Max 5%, minimum 1%. That's about it, your consciousness. The remaining 95 to 99% is your subconscious. So every time I hear the lovely Americanized version saying, be mindful. I'm saying, yeah, let's be mindful. Let's figure out how those billions of cells are figuring out how they're going to lift my leg up and place it down. How am I going to breathe? How am I going to digest my food? How am I how my brain is translating 11 million bits per second into understanding this lady's lovely orange was vis-a-vis your pink, vis-a-vis his white. Let's be mindful. And let's dedicate our lives to that level of mindfulness. Can we? We'll go mad. How many people drive vehicles here? Gaadi kaun chalate? Oh, most of you. So when you were learning how to drive, you were mindful, right? कि अभी accelerator छोड़ना है, brake दबाना है, clutch दबाना है, correct? That is you're being mindful because you want to learn a new habit. You want those billions of neurons in your brain to create a pattern. Ma'am, did you start my timer at the right time? Yeah, because they wasted 10 minutes. No, you're saying 5 minutes. No, they started at 6:10. Come on. Anyways. So you're creating these patterns. Hence, you need to be mindfully creating that memory. So we all say muscle memory, right? But hey, there's no real muscle memory. It's intricate patterns, neural networks, which will fire together in a certain rhythm. And you learn how to drive, whether it's a bike or an automobile, rickshaw, whatever it is. And after a certain number of repetitions, it becomes mindless or part of your subconscious. Am I right? Right now, suddenly if you're speeding and somebody comes in front of you, you'll say, okay, now I will get my leg off and do this, boss, story's over. Am I right? Same thing with sports. What is the average speed? So the World Cup's going on. What is the average speed of a fast ball? Exactly. So do you think somebody has time? The best batsman has mindful time to say, now I will judge the speed, the trajectory. No. That's why he's practiced 6, 8, 10 hours a day to get it into his subconscious. So in that fraction of a second, his subconscious has already calculated all this. In that remaining fraction is when the conscious mind says, okay, now I believe there's no fielder there and I'm going to flick it there. That's all. Yeah. So again, mind over matter, very important. But how much is the mind? Do your research. Don't trust me. How much is the mind? And this overt focus on the mind is doing us no good. Take care of the matter first. A lot of the mind will take care of itself. And then for other stuff, consume great content. Treat your mind well. Don't feed it gibberish, because that gibberish is going to be residing in your subconscious. It will. And it will. We had a session on dreams. It will come out in your dreams. It will come out in your mannerisms. It will come out in your behavior. And when you're trying to be mindful, it'll show up. Right? Any other questions?
You say 95% of your brain is subconscious.
Your activity, mental activity.
How do you quantify that? Is there a means to do that?
There's lots of research available. Just Google it.
All right.
No, I'm not saying focus on matter more than the mind. I'm saying please start focusing on the matter at least. Do your basics right, and you'll realize that a lot of the mind is taken care of itself. Because we are not as connected to ourselves to realize that when we think our mind is being weak, it's actually our biological processes which are being awry. Of course. Of course. It's a chicken and egg situation. So my simple suggestion is, if you really can't decide mind over matter, just go to sleep for 8 hours. Now, honestly, get a good night's sleep. Wake up early in the morning. Sorry? Yeah, that's not your mind. That's your subconscious brain. That's the anxiety network in the brain, the addiction reward network in the brain, which is overactive, which has got dysregulated, which wants to rest, but it's unable to. So, and that's the practice we do. We use sensors on your brain, all around your head, to read your brain waves and to figure out which of your neural pathways is not working properly. So, but I don't want to talk about that here. That'll become like a sales pitch. But absolutely, distinguish between, hey, I want to sleep. So consciously, your mind wants to go to bed. But you're unable to, which means it's the overactive subconscious which is not allowing you. So there are things you can do for it. You can tire yourself out, right? Very few times have I seen somebody suffering from insomnia being extremely physically tired and yet not being able to sleep. Most of them will be able to fall asleep then, right? The challenge is with our modern lifestyles, we are not physically tired enough. We have not expended and generated enough bioelectrical energy. Any other questions? Yes?
Is there an association that has surprised you in terms of the impact of matter over mind?
Sorry, is there an association that has?
Surprised you?
Well, I keep getting surprised, to be honest. I mean, I could give you some very easy examples. How many of you, Before an exam, you'll start getting butterflies. Yeah? So what is that? The gut-brain connection, right? Um, do you feel your breathing has become faster when you're angry? Why? That's because the anxiety network in your brain has told your organs that, hey, I'm going to be in a fight. The prehistoric caveman, thousands and thousands of years ago, his anxiety network was trained to always be on the lookout. He was a hunter, gatherer, survivor, fighter, right? We've evolved, but not evolved enough. So we still need that energy, that raw energy to be expended and created, which we don't. So as a result, that anxiety network still resides, and it says, it tells my heart pump faster, because I either have to go into fight or flight mode, right? But we never go into that mode, really. We never expend the fight or flight energy. So as a result, what happens? There's excess glucose pumped into your system. You get pre-diabetic. Excess blood pumping through your heart. Hypertension. Problems with thyroid. Migraine headaches, because constant state of stress and arousal. Abhi kya hone wala hai? Abhi kisse ladna hai? Right? So you will find enough examples in your day-to-day life if you just start noticing that, why was I doing that? Sometimes it's just your posture. You're not breathing right. You're breathing too fast. Again, mind is important, of course. It is that 1%, 2% consciousness. I mean, what are we without our consciousness? But please take care of your matter. A lot of your issues will get resolved. We see this all the time. And you might then at least be in a situation where you're able to better evaluate what you're really going through. Is it just dehydration? Is it just low sugar, low energy, lack of fresh energy coming from exercise, fresh air? Is it all of that, or is it really a deeper malaise?